So we are the world's biggest Bitcoin marketplace. We have roughly 15 million trades happening in our platform every single year. And in US dollar terms, there's roughly $3 billion worth of Bitcoin being traded this year on our platform. We also have over 6 million customers globally. And I just the other day checked, only this year, we have onboarded customers from 189 countries. So we are truly global. We are operating globally. We have roughly 600,000, a little bit over 600,000 monthly active users who are trading, buying, selling Bitcoins. And as I said, like we truly operate globally. A little bit more about local Bitcoin's background. So crypto industry in generally, it's roughly 10 years old, depending on how you calculated it. But I mean, local Bitcoins was established 2012. So we are pretty much one of the oldest company in this whole industry. And we have been seeing like how the crypto adoption, how the usage of cryptocurrencies is developing over time. And we, of course, we are proud that we have been building and shaping this industry quite a lot. Since from 2013, 2018, we have been growing really fast. We have been doubling our trade volumes and revenues roughly every year. And we have, during that time, we have become the world's biggest Bitcoin marketplace, peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplace. Now, on 2019, that was another very big moment for us. We became regulated by Finnish Financial Authority or European Financial Authority. So basically, we are continuing as we were, but now we are a regulated entity. So still providing a peer-to-peer trading platform globally. And recapping 2019, I think these are, it's good to know where we come from. So we got 1.5 million new customers just within a year. So a huge amount of customers from different kind of countries or different countries. As I said, like this year alone, 189 different countries. And we had roughly 1 million active traders, so trading, buying, selling Bitcoin and so forth. And of course, I mean, we are a global company with the mission of bringing Bitcoin everywhere, every single city in the world. With our peer-to-peer model. But I mean, in addition to that, we are very international when it comes to our employees. Like we are not anymore startup, we are scale up. We have roughly 70 employees. But out of those 70 employees, we have 30 different nationalities. So we are highly international company. We do have our headquarters in Finland, where most of our employees work. But we also have offices in Mexico and so forth. Overall, highly international company, highly international employee base, and we are very proud of that. Now, before going to Latin America, which is the kind of the topic of today, I just want to share a few thoughts how we see Bitcoin usage globally. As I said, like we have over 6 million customers all over the world. So we do see different ways people use Bitcoin. In the Western countries, US, Europe, so forth, people are mainly hodling. So buying Bitcoin, holding it for a long-term price increase, trying to profit from there. But that's just the one use case which is driving adoption. What we see, like if we go a little bit towards Eastern, let's say Russia and so forth, the use case of using Bitcoin as a mean of paying for services and real-world goods, that the significance increases a lot. So there is a lot of Bitcoin being used as a payment method, not only hodling or trading. Now, going to Africa. Africa is obviously a big country. Oh, sorry, big continent, lots of countries. But what we see there clearly, going, for example, Eastern Africa, Kenya, and so forth. Bitcoin trading is one of the key drivers. So, and I don't mean now investing or hodling, I mean trading. So COVID-19 has hit very hard Africa, as well as many other places, but Africa especially. And we have lots of people who are coming to the platform and try to earn extra money by doing trading, being a market maker. So that's one of the key drivers there. Now, going to the Western Africa, of course, we have lots of trading there also. But what is a big change there is that Bitcoin is used a lot for remittance, which is sending money across the borders. I'll soon go more deeply on that one. But remittance is a very big use case and driver of adoption in Western Africa. And then, of course, Latin America, our key market, if you will. We can see that the drivers of adoptions, the key drivers, there are need for alternative currency, need for store of value, as well as remittance, so sending money across borders. Those are few of the key things that are driving Bitcoin adoption on Latin America, as far as we can see. Now, going a little bit more deeply on the remittance part. So, of course, I mean, we have lots of people who have moved abroad or for any reason are sending money across borders. Maybe they are working in US, earning US dollars and need to send money back to their family and relatives in their home country. And there, of course, there are many ways to do it. And then traditional financial services and systems, they do provide means to do it. But however, when you are looking for the remittance cost across the board, if you are using traditional financial services, they take roughly 5 to 10% fees from your whatever you are sending. So if you are sending $100 from US to Venezuela, you probably on the other end you only get $90 out. So it's a fairly expensive, and let alone it takes lots of time. So there is a clear need for new approach, and of course Bitcoin, local Bitcoins, is providing that. We have been taking a look on the remittance use case using local Bitcoins and Bitcoins. So say you are in Europe, some of the Euro countries, or US, you are sending 100 euros or $100. You send it to Venezuela. On the other end, the receiver gets roughly $69 on local currency, of course. In Brazil, it's $97, and in Mexico, you get $98. So using Bitcoin and local Bitcoins to send money across borders, you usually pay somewhere between 2 to 5% fees, where with the normal or traditional financial services, you are paying 5 to 10%. So there is a clear incentive to start using Bitcoin for cross-border money transfers. Now, looking at a few countries, obviously focus on Latin America and some of the key drivers of Bitcoin adoption. First one, we have Venezuela. And I mean, of course, everybody knows that the situation is it's very challenging in Venezuela, the economical and political situation, that's very challenging. And of course, we have a very smart, adaptive people who are looking to solutions for example, sending money or receiving money across borders or storing their wealth. And we can clearly see it on Bitcoin adoption. So what we see here is that just during this year, the weekly trading volumes on local Bitcoins have grown over 20-fold. This is of course in bolivars, but I mean in US dollar terms also very big increase. So people are increasingly adopting Bitcoin in Venezuela, and for a very, very good reasons. We are getting thousands of new customers every week from there. And of course, I mean, Venezuelan Bolivar, it's a fairly weak currency at the moment, or has been. And I mean, here we see what hyperinflation, for example, looks like against Bitcoin. Just to give you an example, these numbers are just so huge. So that just a few months ago, we actually had to change our systems so that we can accept so big numbers, 11, 12 digits on fiat currency, because otherwise you don't get enough Bitcoin. Also in Venezuela, we do talk a lot with our customers there. I have had many Hangouts calls with many of our bigger traders. And obviously these bigger traders are a little bit more well-to-do people. They're not suffering from lack of energy or lack of food. But anyway, one customer was saying like he wants to have a Netflix, and he has no way of paying that subscription, like credit cards and so forth. So he's using Bitcoin and local Bitcoins to pay the subscription, which I think was an amazing service. I still have difficulties to understand how, but that's just explaining or showing that if you don't have access to international services through your traditional financial means, I mean, Bitcoin does, and local Bitcoin also does provide that avenue subscription. So it really solves real world problems for many people. Another very, very interesting country, Argentina. We have seen very big increases on Bitcoin adoption there during this year. The weekly trading volumes in Argentina have grown over 400%. And of course, I mean, Argentina is in many ways super, how would I say, it's great for Bitcoin adoption. You have people who are very technically literate, who are not afraid of adopting new technologies, whether it's smartphones or Bitcoin, whatnot, and actually start solving their real world problems with those new technologies. So we actually are seeing a rapid growth on Argentina on Bitcoin adoption. And of course, I mean, Argentina also, there's the political situation, the economical situation, unfortunately, a little bit unstable. But again, in this kind of situation, you have smart people. What do? They go look for solutions, alternatives. And obviously, I mean, Bitcoin is a perfect alternative for many of the financial worries. So that definitely is a big driver for Bitcoin adoption. Then I have an example from Brazil. And Brazil, it's a big country, of course. But I mean, we see largely increasing adoption there. Also, this year, the trading volumes of Bitcoin have grown over 250% in Brazil. And what we see many times is that when you have one country where Bitcoin demand increases, say it's Venezuela or Colombia or whatever, what happens in the neighboring countries and the bigger countries on that region, the demand for Bitcoin also picks up, or more people will come in the Bitcoin trading world, making markets and so forth. And that's something what we see also in Brazil. So we have increasingly people from Brazil joining local Bitcoins, trading Bitcoin, and of course providing liquidity for many of the countries nearby. And we just recently did a survey with all of our customers in Brazil, asking like, what do you think will be a Bitcoin price in 5 years? Of course, I mean, this is just a guessing game, but it shows like most of our users in Brazil think it will be somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000. And obviously, when you have that kind of mindset, it does mean that you do believe on the future of Bitcoin strongly, and that's of course a big driver of adoption. I'm actually like I don't now have a clock here, so I don't know how much time I have left. So I try to wrap this up quite quickly now. But when we are looking at the Bitcoin usage in Latin America, as I said, like it's absolutely the key market for local Bitcoins. It's our biggest market. It's growing fast, and we are learning so much of Bitcoin usage from Latin America. I mean, Bitcoin is being used in Latin America in so many ways that we can't even imagine in many of the European countries. So we actually are looking in the future when we look on the Latin America. And there are many reasons why Latin America is driving the adoption of Bitcoin. I mean, first of all, again, very unfortunate, there are some economies and political turmoil in some countries, but then again, this kind of environment is perfect for Bitcoin adoption. Smart people, they go and look for alternatives, and Bitcoin does provide that one. Also, there is many countries you just don't have those traditional means to access international services or international financial services. And again, Bitcoin, local Bitcoins, it's a perfect tool for that one. And we are seeing people are more and more using it. It's a beautiful thing to see a middle-aged or older person actually going for a Bitcoin because it solves a real world problem. So we, at the moment, what we are looking, when we are looking for Latin America, I mean, it's been growing really, really nicely in terms of Bitcoin adoption, and we don't see any reasons why it wouldn't do it in the future. Like Latin America probably will be the leader in Bitcoin adoption for a quite long time. And then finally, I just again, I do want to thank you for inviting me here. As I said, Latin America, that's the most important market for local Bitcoins. I mean, it's a place which is showing the true potential of local, Bitcoin, and what the finance in future might look like. So it's a privilege to be here talking to you and talking about local Bitcoins. And please, if you want to talk with us, give us a shout. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Send us email. I mean, we are looking to ways to serve you better. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. You know, I have an amazing panel here to discuss some of the hottest topics of recent years. No, it's like Ethereum has been all about DeFi for the last year. Everything was about DeFi. But some argue that the first DeFi was Bitcoin. And if you think about it, you know, there was this questioning from the Ethereum community, or this tension between the Ethereum and Bitcoin community that has been going for years, about the ability of Bitcoin to evolve, to extend its capabilities to become a full decentralized financial system. So we all agree, or I think most people agree in the crypto space, that Bitcoin is king in terms of liquidity. Bitcoin is king in terms of being the sovereign store of value. But the question is about the other functionalities that a decentralized financial system needs. And so I hope with this amazing panel of people, we will be able to answer that question. Is Bitcoin capable of supporting and being an integral part of the DeFi movement, of the full decentralized financial system that is being built? So thank you all for being here. I will ask from you like a brief introduction and what are you doing today in the space? And then we move on the first question. So please, let's start with you, Max, and I will try to shuffle you around in the different questions.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Diego. Yeah, so Matt Luongo, I originally got in this space back in, I guess, late 2013, early 2014.
Guys, I need volume.
Founded a company called Fold. And since then, I've been doing all sorts of Bitcoin stuff. The most recent is a project called TBTC, which is an effort to bring a trustless bridge from Bitcoin to Ethereum. And really what we're trying to do is have a permissionless sidechain that uses Ethereum.
So Matt,
who's up?
What about you, Max? What have you been doing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I am Max Carhusa. I am one of the co-founders of Money on Chain. Money on Chain has built the first Bitcoin collateralized stablecoin. We have a very interesting token for Bitcoin holder that it's called BPRO. The BPRO is a liquidity token that allows you to earn some profit on Bitcoins supporting the protocol. I've been in the space since 2011, and I've been working for Money on Chain for the last 2 years.
Excellent. What about you, Kira?
Yes, my name is Kia Mothieri. I'm a product manager at BitGo. BitGo has been around since 2013. We are a infrastructure technology provider as well as a prime brokerage, but I'm mainly here to talk about WBTC today, which is our wrapped Bitcoin product on the Ethereum ecosystem, which is the 16th largest cryptocurrency on itself today, north of $2 billion.
Amazing.
Very excited.
So, and what about you, Eden? What have you been doing lately? Or
well, for the last 10 years, I've been engaged in trying to help more people get access to Bitcoin and use their Bitcoin in their everyday lives more effectively. And I think 10 years ago, I came across Bitcoin, and I strongly believe that if you can get through life just doing one or two things right, but really right, then everything else becomes easier. And the amazing thing about Bitcoin is it gives you that opportunity to do one thing right. You can do one thing which is right for, you know, ideologically, morally, creating sovereign money. And the other thing is you can get wealthy while doing it. So it was the perfect combination. And so right now, I'm working on Sovereign. Sovereign is a project looking to bring DeFi to Bitcoin layer 2. So the ability to do all of the things that people would like to be doing with their Bitcoin currently through centralized services like borrowing, lending, trading, leverage, you can now do with a decentralized alternative, which is Bitcoin native.
Amazing. You know, I'm now looking at all of us. We have almost 50 years of Bitcoin experience in this panel, which is very uncommon, no? Because we have a lot of old timers in this panel, and so, you know, one interesting thing is like, you know, we have all in common that you all have in common that you are working with Bitcoin in decentralized finance protocols, but you are doing it in different ways. No, it's like, Matt, you are finding ways to bring Bitcoin to other blockchains in a safe way, in a sovereign way through TBTC. BitGo is doing the same with a different model, more of a custodial model, but the same, like, providing tools for Bitcoin to interact with decentralized financial protocols. And, you know, Max and Ethan, they are directly building these financial protocols. No, one is creating kind of a P2P monetary system. Max is building a P2P monetary system where Bitcoin is the gold, the reserve currency to issue stable assets. And in the case of Eden, he's building on top of that and other stable assets to actually provide, you know, lending, margin trading, all the things that are like the basics of a financial system. So Bitcoin is at the core, but you're using Bitcoin in a much different way or in different environments to achieve this goal of extending the Bitcoin capabilities to be integrated into a full financial system. Before I get, you know, deeper into this, my first question is like, when we talk about DeFi, is really, because if you think about decentralized finance, I would say that the only protocol or one of the very few protocols that you can say are really decentralized is Bitcoin. So is really, when we talk about DeFi, is really DeFi what we have today, or that's more of an aspirational goal of the industry? I'm saying in Ethereum and otherwise, no, in general, are we really doing DeFi, or, you know, it's, well, I want your opinion on that. So I told everybody I was going to shuffle you. So Eden, please take the lead on this one.
Well, I think that most of the projects that fall into the DeFi category, right, are called DeFi projects, are not really decentralized at all. However, I think at the same time, most Bitcoiners are dismissive or maybe even ignorant of the degree to which projects that have been built outside of Bitcoin, and in particular on Ethereum, have really managed to push the envelope in terms of the kind of things that truly decentralized projects can do. So a few cool examples, I think, is Uniswap 1, which was truly a permissionless, censorship resistant system. There was no owner to that system. A little bit less than that, you have systems like MakerDAO, which are which creates a stable coin, which doesn't have a clear administrator or custodial system, is pretty permissionless. And on the panel today, we have Matt and Max, who both have built systems. I think Matt is just, he can't upgrade the system or change the system once it's launched. He's kind of screwed. Like, he has to be very, very careful about what he launches, because there's nothing he can do or any other dev can do to change the system. And I've been, you know, following what Max is doing, and he's got a very, very strong emphasis on building a truly decentralized system as well as a Bitcoiner. So DeFi is real. It exists today. You have to look for it. You have to be able to differentiate, but I think it's definitely more than an aspiration.
Kira, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think decentralization or DeFi isn't really a on and off switch. It's not a Boolean. It's not a true or false. It's rather in a spectrum. And even decentralization itself, there are many different criteria within it that you can break it into. For example, permissionlessness, the distribution of the network, the governance of it, and whatnot. So I think we really have to break down into which one of these are the users valuing more, in which part of the world, in which ecosystem, and we'll see different flavors of these protocols. Bitcoin being bridged or the decentralized applications on different blockchains, they will all kind of develop in a way to address different needs that people have in mind when they think about decentralization. So one thing I think that is very relevant for this panel is the concept of permissionlessness, which is a massive phenomenon, very important in South America because people have experiences with such. In other parts of the world, you know, permissionlessness might not be as big of a factor. Another pillar of decentralization might be. And even with permissionlessness, you know, we can break it down into the asset itself being permissionless, the application being permissionless, and they all hope to make it efficient for one of the use cases. And I think we'll see exciting products coming out of all these attempts and protocols, and we already have them.
Amazing. So yeah, I think so. We see some things emerging. So I mean, decentralization. There's different degrees, and as Kira was mentioning, you have decentralization in different points of a platform. No, so you might have a highly centralized initial setup. Then you might have a highly centralized operations, but then the governance might be centralized. So you can have different degrees of decentralization in different components of an open network, of an open protocol. And I think, you know, at the end, it's more about permissionless access to services or openness. And I agree on that. So Max, what's your take? And then Matt, you can follow on suite.
Well, I think that decentralization is a goal and is a path. And every project starts centralized. Even Bitcoin, when Bitcoin launched in 2009, all the Bitcoins were in the hands of Satoshi, all the code was written by Satoshi, and all the hashing power were in the hands of Satoshi. So every project starts centralized. I think that the important thing here is that every project should have a path of decentralization and a goal of decentralization. And we need to understand why we want that decentralization. And I think that the biggest advantage that we take from decentralization, besides permissionless, is that no one has control over the protocol. No one can change the rules, and the rules are clear and are transparent. That is the main goal of decentralization.
Thank you. Matt, your take on this?
Yeah, well, Idan already took a pretty positive approach to Ethereum, so maybe I'll take like a little bit more negative. I'm not used to it. So, you know, one of the things that I think is interesting here is I agree that we're seeing a lot of things that actually have a claim to censorship resistance and immutability and permissionlessness outside of Bitcoin. And that's really cool. Like, as a technologist, the reason that I got into this space was because I was trying to use PayPal for something, and they didn't like the business I was doing. And so I had to use Bitcoin, and this was in 2014, and it was just a pure payments play. All the rest for me, hard money, realizing kind of like the locus of control and what central banks, what role they played in my life, that for me came after. Equally important, but it came second. So I think on the one hand, I'm really excited to see this tech cropping up anywhere. But on the other, because we're building this Bitcoin and Ethereum bridge, I have to deal with people on both sides. And the culture differences are pretty incredible. So the reason so much of DeFi isn't is because a lot of Ethereum, and really just a lot of tech in general, has this culture of talking. They like to talk about how something, it sounds like they're talking about today, but they mean 1 to 5 years from now. So when you hear people talk about Ethereum, like ETH2, for example, they say, look, we solved it. We've launched ETH2. Well, you've solved a thing, right? And you know, but your roadmap has probably another 4 years of work before it's really going to be the thing that most people mean when they talk about these scalability wins. In the same way with DeFi, most of the big projects that I think come to people's mind have admin keys. have ways to shut them down. And at the end of the day, for me, why am I working on this tech? I don't want to be told no. And so if there's a team whose door can be knocked down, or who maybe I became politically unpopular and they can cut off my access, that's just not interesting to me anymore. So I guess I'm sort of agreeing with everyone here. It is a spectrum. Decentralization is a spectrum, but a lot of these teams on Ethereum could try a lot harder. And I hope they're listening to this and maybe try to learn a little bit more from the Bitcoin culture side.
Could I disagree with some of the people on the panel?
I think, of course, you know, we want to make the panel spicy, so go ahead. In an orderly fashion, you can disagree. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I don't think it's that much of a spectrum, right? I mean, sure, there's a spectrum, like, you know, human beings are on a spectrum of how tall they are, but none of them are skyscrapers, right? So it's true that this thing that we talk about, and I really don't like the word decentralization because it seems to imply that there is a spectrum, like, oh, you go from 1 to 2, you're now double as decentralized. That's not how it works, right? Decentralization is just a tool. It's not actually a goal or an aspiration or something we should be trying to do. Satoshi wasn't interested in decentralization. He was interested in censorship resistance, in permissionlessness, in creating a vetocracy. In other words, a system where anyone could veto any change that was going to be imposed upon them. Those are the things that we're trying to create. And those things aren't really a spectrum. They can be a little bit more or less, but the difference between having them at all and having basically none of them is a huge gulf. And unless a system is designed from the ground up to provide for permissionless, censorship resistance, vetocracy, right? To have a situation where no one can ever be in control or shut down the system or arbitrarily censor a transaction, then there is no spectrum.
Yeah, so that takes me to a reflection. We started the Bit Conf talking about opting out, no? And I think, you know, these protocols, all these protocols, whether they are censorship resistant or not, they have that capability of allowing you to opt out. So at least for sure, and they are more transparent than the traditional financial system. So at least they are an improvement. But your point, Idan, and I think that's the Bitcoiner point, no, or the Bitcoiner take is like, you know, if you have this opt-out and you have more transparency, that from a Bitcoiner perspective is not enough. It's like, you need to be censorship resistant, and that's a little bit of what Matt was also saying. Like, if somebody can take a door down and capture the keys of a few developers, then that's it. It's like, I cannot, like, you know, remove trust or at least not, you know, be sure that we are not going to be coerced into failing our contracts, our social and smart contracts, no? So in a way, that's a very interesting point. I don't know if some of you want to add on this topic. I think we are, in a way, getting into my following question, that is, why the fight for Bitcoin? No, it's like, why, you know, some people say, well, if I have Ethereum, why I need the fight for Bitcoin? No, but I think we are kind of answering this as we go. So I don't know if you want to add something on this topic of, you know, opting in, opting out, censorship resistance, transparency. Please do. Maybe Max, Kira, you want to extend on this?
Yes, you were saying why DeFi on Bitcoin or why DeFi on Ethereum. I guess that is not the question. It is the same. What is the blockchain running? Or not exactly the same, because there is not the same level of trust that you can have in the RSK network or Ethereum network or Ethereum Classic network. It's not the same. RSK and Ethereum are much more stronger network, and that characteristics are probably unique. But when we talk about DeFi, what I care about is the characteristics of the protocol, the DeFi protocol. What I am using of collateral, if the protocol is trustless, if someone is holding the keys, if there is a governance protocol. But I don't think that the question is Ethereum or Bitcoin, because Ethereum is a blockchain. It is the same. I think that 10 years from now, people will be using mobile applications in their phones, using DeFi, using Bitcoin. I think they won't care what blockchain runs behind that application.
I have to agree.
It's the same with internet today. You don't care what protocol are you using. Everything you care is that you put something on Facebook and your friends can see it. That is all people care about.
I hope we can do better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a reinforcement of my question. Why DeFi for Bitcoin? If it's all the same, if it runs on Ethereum or any blockchain with sufficient security, RSK, Ethereum, Bitcoin. But if it's about that, I mean, there is an edge for DeFi for Bitcoin that now nobody else can tackle.
Yes, but it's not the same. The currency that you are going to use in the blockchain, that is not the same. It's not the same to use Bitcoin that to use Aurora Coin, of course.
The underlying asset, that's what you're saying, not necessarily about the network that operates that asset.
Exactly. In the future, I think that every blockchain will be interconnected with every other one.
Kira, what's your take on this? And Matt, I know you want to add something, so you go next.
Yeah, I think an important point to add for us, and I agree with Max, like in a few years, we will not have this issue. People will not realize what application they're using, what blockchain they're using, what form of the asset they're using. But as builders, we cannot ignore these questions. We want to answer these questions. As much as people like to boast about Bitcoin being censorship resistant, the rules cannot be changed. It could be changed. The miners can change the rules. And the miners are concentrated in a country that doesn't have a problem knocking down on people's doors. So when I think about it in the future, there's a lot of fat tail risks that I see. These are events that are very unlikely to happen, but if they do, they have very significant effects. So when I look at that horizon, I do want optionality with my protocols. I do want optionality with the types of tokenized Bitcoins that I have, which blockchains they're on. I want different options there because, we just don't know how things will pan out. We want optionality is, I think, to me, is one of the core concepts of crypto. It's not to force everyone to be decentralized. It's not to force everyone to use hard money. But hey, if you want hard money, here it is. You have the option of it. You have a lot of different options to use it in different ways. But I don't know if we want to touch on this, but I think this is actually an advantage to see different platforms building towards the same goal. And they attract different cultures. And because of these cultures of people who are building these and the users, I think the trajectory of the products down the road will also be different. And that just makes the space more interesting to me. I think we have more optionality. We're going to have diverse and better products because we have different projects that are building towards the same goal in a different way.
I think, Matt, you want to, but you're raising another topic that I think is interesting. It's like, we want a monoculture, we want diversity. I think Bitcoin by design was designing a Darwinian, very savage Darwinian model, but still the option to fork it and try to compete on the markets with a slightly different protocol is there in Bitcoin from the beginning. It's part of the protocol. So we can leave that out to after you, Matt, add your comments. But I think that's a very interesting topic. Is diversity of protocols and these wildlife evolutionary model providing a better outcome at the end, or we need to go to a monoculture and say, okay, it's only Bitcoin, let's build a stack on top of this and that's it.
Well, you introduced a really strong idea there, Diego, which is and I'm going to try to not trigger you too much, Adon, by the way, because I know you're ready to get in this too. We're poking it. So like I'm hearing a few things, right? So we're talking about the asset versus the technology, and I think clearly these two things are different. Um, and we've also talked about, just to be clear, if the miners try to unilaterally change Bitcoin, we've shown that a user-activated soft fork can work. So what's important to me about Bitcoin the asset, but also about Bitcoin the tech versus Ethereum the tech, is that the Ethereum community doesn't have the muscle that the Bitcoin community does to pull off a user-activated soft fork. I personally was involved with the most recent ProgPow push on Ethereum, and I had to get up in the dev channels and was a huge pain in the butt. And when I said, "Hey guys, our team will maintain a non-ProgPow geth if there's a strong enough community, like we'll do it. We have the engineering talent to do it." And a bunch of the devs didn't realize what they were walking into, and they didn't realize that what I was saying was the community can choose. You don't choose as the developer. You don't choose as the miner. Ultimately, the people who run the software choose. So what I think is really important about Bitcoin versus Ethereum in this case is, Ethereum is complicated, and as a user, it's hard to have opinions on the technology. When you have Vitalik 2 years out talking about some fancy like data availability proof, it's hard to know when should you say no and when should you not allow a hard fork to happen. It's difficult. And with Bitcoin, already it's a lot to ask a new person to understand the game theory of Bitcoin. But users were passionate enough to say, like, no, we will have a user activated soft fork. Now, obviously, it requires like a Luke Dash Jr. figure. It requires someone who will be their voice and give them that outlet. But anyway, I guess what I'm getting at, and what I love about what Diego just said is, there are extinction level events where Darwinism matters. And right now, there's this Cambrian explosion where there's not a lot of selective pressure, right? And so Bitcoin the asset can win despite Bitcoin the technology, and that we're seeing all these other chains do really well because of technology improvements. If tomorrow there is a ban on all crypto use, you have to ask yourself which of these chains would keep running. I'm confident Bitcoin will. I'm less sure about Ethereum. I see it as on the cusp, but then most other stuff it just won't. It'll just be abandoned because you will not care enough to run this thing in your basement over Tor. You won't care. And so for me, like, I'll do that with my Bitcoin node. I don't know. Geth's already kind of a pain. As fun as I think it is, maybe I won't. I don't know if I would risk my freedom to keep it running. And so the question is just how many people are in that camp? Because at the end of the day, maybe decentralization is not a spectrum, but the difference might ultimately be the people at the end and whether or not they'll stand up for it. So anyway, just taking this in a bit of a different direction, because I agree that all these chains are going to be connected. I agree that the tech is moving forward. We're all technologists on this call. But if things get hard, not everything's going to survive.
That takes me, and I'm sorry to cut, because this topic we are getting into, I love it. It's something like with the scaling debates, I was deep into that process, and it was, for me, it was like the internal trigger of this questioning about like, what is the governance of Bitcoin? How is its evolutionary model, and all those things that I think are, it takes years until you get to that point, because it's like an onion, no, of discovery, the famous rabbit hole. You go deeper and deeper. But, at the end, and you were mentioning this point that I want to surface on my next question, that is like, at the end, it's about adoption, because where the money flows, and this is also true with living things. It's like, if nutrients flow into one plant or one tree, then the tree will thrive. If not, it will wither and die. No? So in a way, there is a fight between, although we understand like the deep consequences, of choosing one path or the other to protect sovereignty and certain values. At the end, I think this fight is about adoption and where the money flows. No? And we are also in early days for that, because we are talking about an industry of 300 billion. It's not like, if you compare that to the 70, 80 trillion dollars of GDP of the world, that's a drop in the ocean still, a more relevant drop, I would say, maybe a bucket in the ocean, not the drop anymore, but still, like, we are in that process of, and as I see it, is like you have on one side the traditional infrastructure, financial infrastructure, where all the money sits, and then you have this emerging financial infrastructure that is fighting its way in or out, you know, into a new world, in a new way of doing finance. So in that fight, how do you see the Bitcoin DeFi movement versus the Ethereum DeFi movement? And because we are actually fighting for the resources, regardless of the technical, you know, and ideological elements of it. So
I'm gonna be rude. I gotta say, the dinosaurs grew big and now they're dead. Yeah. And so, you know, something can get all the nutrients, but if there's a big enough event, it pays to be small. So anyway, I'll step off my soapbox.
So we are going back to the Cambrian. That was an extinction event, like 700 million years ago. So, what's your take, Ethan, on that?
Well, the reason I'm interested in Bitcoin, and I think of myself as a Bitcoiner rather than someone who's interested in cryptocurrencies. There are lots of reasons for that, but the big reason is because the thing which is interesting to me in this space is that we have the opportunity to create a new financial system, and on top of that, a new, on the basis of a new monetary system, and on top of that, a new economic system that everyone globally can participate in. I think that's the really exciting thing, to have a transparent, uncorruptible economy that anyone can participate in. And I think the only asset with a real shot, and certainly the asset with the best shot of accomplishing that, is not XRP or Tron or ETH, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the center of gravity of the cryptocurrency world. It is the most censorship resistant, most fairly launched, most clearly branded, inspirational, shared truth, which is what money is, right? A shared truth that the entire world can galvanize around. And the reason I dislike many of the other tokens, and there are lots of reasons, but the main reason is because I think if we're behind this mission, if we agree on this mission of changing the financial and economic order of the world for the better, we all need to come together and work towards that goal. And we dissipate, we reduce the concentration of our effort when we're all going in different directions and, you know, trying to figure out like what other new token we can introduce. A token, a currency, is a standard, and that's why Bitcoin is so important. And I want to bring this back to the question that you asked a moment ago. Why DeFi for Bitcoin? Well, I mean, how could you have Bitcoin without DeFi? Having Bitcoin without DeFi is kind of like getting a gym membership and then paying someone else to go work out for you. It's completely missing the point. Why would you have a permissionless, decentralized asset and then hand it over to someone else who is regulated by the exact people you're trying to get away from to manage for you? It makes no sense.
Okay, good. Kira, do you want to add something? Max, do you want to add something, or?
Oh, yes, I fully agree with what Jago has said. The only thing I want to add is that when we think about Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the idea of free money for humanity, free from freedom, not free from I don't have to pay. And one very important thing about Bitcoin are the monetary properties. And one of the biggest monetary properties that Bitcoin has is it has almost no inflation. There will be only 21 million Bitcoins. If we love this idea of free money for the humanity, we have to choose only one, because if we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, and another coins, then we have inflation, and we are losing that interesting monetary policy that Bitcoin has. And if you analyze every coin in the spectrum, Bitcoin has the best monetary policy or the best monetary characteristics in the crypto world.
Excellent. Kira, what's your take on this, how this will play out, in the coming years for DeFi for Bitcoin versus DeFi in other platforms or with other assets mostly, because that's what we are agreeing, that it's mostly about the asset and the values that that asset carries, or intrinsic values of that asset, no?
Right. Yeah. I think most people here agree about the value of Bitcoin, what's great about it, and why it's leading the charge. So I don't think there's much of a discussion about that. What I do want to mention is that I think ideas are inherently subjective. So what Bitcoin means to me is very different than what Bitcoin means to my mother, means to my friend, means to a institutional investor, what it means to a South American user who is facing persecution politically and economically. And all of these people, all of these users look at this differently. So sure, maybe, maybe we don't care about a regulated space, but if you're a fund manager and you have more than $150 million of other people's money, you're required by law. You cannot do business unless you have a regulated custodian. So that's just an example that we cannot rule out everyone else who doesn't fit into kind of our view of the user base. We have to acknowledge that. And I think that's why it's great that we have diversity. And that's what I was kind of hinting on earlier, that these different protocols, because they kind of embrace some features of this umbrella of decentralization better, they attract particular types of users. And because those users cluster around certain projects, they kind of shape the way the project's trajectory goes. And an example of this would be Uniswap versus SushiSwap. So SushiSwap, a total fork of Uniswap. They want exactly the same thing. But because they attract the different communities, the trajectory of the two projects 2 months now, just only 2 or 3 months later, is totally different in terms of the products they're coming up with. Another example I heard recently is Twitter versus Facebook. Twitter first came about and people were familiar with Facebook, like, oh, this is just a status update. But because some of the fundamentals of Twitter, once you establish the account, it's public by default, and you can have this follower system. It attracted different types of users and have led to different types of products. So I don't think we should rule out types of users. We haven't dealt with that aspect of the financial world ourselves. So this is a diverse world, and people will find their niches.
Yes.
I'd argue though that even those users, you can build on a weaker, strong foundation, right? So in the case of needing a regulated custodian, the question is, does your regulated custodian do the entire bridge? Or are they basing that off a bridge that maybe underlying is censorship resistant, and they're just putting their kind of like regulatory body in the middle to make sure that everything's kept. So I think, the way that I look at this is kind of like the way that I look at exchanges. Incredibly pragmatic, great way to get, people involved, huge attack surface if they get too big. And we just have to find a balance, right? Because like right now, we're in this spot where, sorry, I'm about to throw down Kia. PayPal buys BitGo, makes some big decisions. Hell, PayPal buys Bitcoin and makes some technical mistakes. 117,000 BTC is gone. Probably as a Bitcoin user, I might rejoice because if that got burned. But for a DeFi user on the other side, the larger it becomes, the more of a systemic risk you have. So I'm certainly not against regulated custodians because I want the big money to come into the space too. I just want to find that balance where, if it's not Wall Street, but if it's the federal government that's knocking, we can still survive.
So that, I think, we are running out of time, but I think we are getting to another very interesting point, that is this tension between, the fully decentralized, unregulated, like permissionless protocols and or services, and the centralized or partially centralized, and I think Matt is bringing the point of even centralized services can use decentralized protocols to be safer, to provide like better services to people, and what they are providing is a layer of regulation on top of the services, but on the technical layer they are relying on the core protocol. So I think that's another question altogether. We run out of time. I think I could go for hours with all of you, because I think all these topics are amazing. I resonate with you, Ethan. Because that's why we choose to build RSK on Bitcoin. So I can argue with you. I also think we need to be diverse, because I think on the transition in the next decade, it will be this interconnection between the two financial infrastructures that exist today, the legacy one and this new emerging financial infrastructure that, in my opinion, will be the infrastructure of the future, one that will be inclusive by design. But, I want you to share like your final thoughts, 30 seconds each, or, a highlight, something you want to leave for people about DeFi, for Bitcoin and the future, what's coming next, what are your hopes for the future in this space. So maybe you, Kyra, can start. And
Sure. Yeah, my big thing that I love is optionality, having different options to choose for you and not force anything to anyone. So that's what I'm excited about. Different protocols, different applications on those protocols, different assets, different ways of tokenizing. Let the users have options.
Amazing. Matt?
I guess that DeFi on Bitcoin will be really huge. I'm really worried about regulation. I hope regulators understand that this should be unregulated at the protocol level, and this could be regulated at the customer level. But at the protocol level, this should be completely decentralized and transparent.
Excellent. Matt, your final thought?
You're on mute, Matt.
I want to echo Adon's point, which
that
is...
That was very deep thought.
Well, look, Bitcoiners, maybe consider looking outside of Bitcoin. There's some really interesting tech being built everywhere. You can still use your asset. You can still bring your culture. Ethereans, maybe learn from some Bitcoiners and see if we can actually be censorship resistant as well.
Amazing.
Wise advice.
So I'll totally contradict Matt. Bitcoiners, there's no need to look anywhere else. With Sovereign, we now have permissionless, censorship-resistant DeFi for Bitcoin. So remember, not your keys, not your coins. Keep your keys.
Thank you. Thank you all. It has been an amazing talk. So I hope you on the other side have enjoyed as much as I did. So thank you all for coming and sharing your thoughts. I think it was great. And
Thanks.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys all.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome to the Blockchain for Humanity 2020 Awards. Every year we receive a good number of applications that allows us to validate the most promising use cases and solutions that have already reached a noticeable level of adoption. It is with great pleasure that we present the dreamers and the shapers who will receive the recognition of the Blockchain for Humanity 2020 Awards. While this year's brought us COVID and its challenges, it also brought us insights, creativity, and inspiration that made us more agile and adaptable to new circumstances. This year's awards nominees showed a remarkable desire to address problems that become even more critical under unprecedented situations. With that said, the dreamers have demonstrated a valuable use case for a known problem. While these projects are not fully validated, and in most cases they lack user adoption, they are inspired and driven by their vision. As for the shapers, they have already gained a level of business maturity. They have gone through adjustments in their business models, but their impact is unquestionable, and their use case adoption is well on track. For us, the shapers are the role models. They are the social entrepreneurs driven by higher purpose. The awards recognize and commend these conscious leaders taking on a huge world challenge.
So this year we had a tough competition in Shapers category, but at the end we've managed to select 3 very interesting projects from 3 different impact categories. Shaper Awards are meant to recognize those who have already demonstrated strong use cases or products that are clearly in support of SDGs. Our awardees for Shaper category for this year are TraceRx in the category of humanitarian aid and traceability for giving the NGOs in a global scale platform where they can trace and reduce the loss of humanitarian relief, which is more than 30% every year. Our next awardee in the category of financial inclusion is Trustlines for allowing any individual to be an equal co-creator of medium of exchange and participate in peer-to-peer mutual credit system. And in the category of community development and social inclusion, our last shaper for this year is Dada's Invisible Economy, for giving the possibility to all artists around the world to be a part of global community, create collective long-term wealth, and receive a social dividend regardless of free market.
Hello, this is Gus, and I have the pleasure in being the first to presenting one of our 3 Dreamers awardee, and I'm talking about Bitcoin Beach, a community in El Zonte, El Salvador, with the only purpose of making Bitcoin the main medium of exchange in their locality. We love Bitcoin Beach because they are a source of inspiration to the entire world about how you can create a thriving and circular economy thanks to Bitcoin. Felicidades, familia!
The Bitcoin Beach project was born out of the idea to really prove to the world that Bitcoin could be used in real transactional ways, and that really was the money of the people. For so long it's been associated with speculation and Lambos and the rich, and we wanted to show that this really could be used by the unbanked and really could be used to help bring people out of poverty. The reason that the Bitcoin Beach project is so timely and so urgently needed right now is because all the world is focused on Bitcoin at this time, and we want them to be focused on the real change that can happen, how it can impact the lives of the poor, that this isn't just for the hedge fund managers, but this is for the people that are scraping by day to day, who have been left out by the banks. And this is the time to really show to the world that Bitcoin will change the world. The reason that blockchain is so important is it's only because of blockchain that we can include the poorest, the people who've been left out by the banks because they don't have the proper government ID, the people that the banks have decided are not worth dealing with because they can't make any profit off them. They've been able to keep them out of the system before and keep them locked in poverty. But because of the blockchain, because of its decentralized nature, nobody can be locked out, and it levels the playing field so that the poor can finally compete in the world.
Hi, my name is Wojtek, and I am happy to present to you another Dreamer awardee. This project has scored the highest in the scalability and replicability potential category. It has been a wildcard choice for almost half of the judges and is my personal favorite project from the post-COVID hackathon. Please join me in congratulating the wonderful team behind Distributed Town.
So, first of all, social distancing forced people to find alternative ways to communicate, collaborate, and work together. Unfortunately, though, existing DAO platforms still suffer from poor UX and generalized purpose, and speculative currencies that encourage short-term individual profit and selfish behavior rather than collaborative problem-solving and mutual support. Distributed Town solved these issues by developing an applied cross-chain protocol that aims to be the standard in collaborative economics, pseudonymous ID verification, and fundraising for public goods. On our platform, users can create a new community in seconds, for free, that allows different types of use cases, spacing from hackathon and blockchain teams to creative projects, arriving till local communities that facilitate local development and incentivize neighbors' mutual support. Each community member receives the ITO credits straight after the registration, when they state their skills and the experience that they have in them. Members and tokens can move across the network seamlessly in a blockchain-agnostic fashion that makes them literal citizens of a distributed town. So, thank you very much for listening to me. This was Distributed Town, and we're building a system based on value rather than money and speculation. Feel free to be part of it.
And our last awardee in the category of Dreamers is Wikibank, for giving us the opportunity to donate fresh food through their application to those who have a hard time to bring food to their tables these days. Congratulations, Wikibank.
My name is Miguel Prados, and I'm going to introduce you Wikibank, a way to enhance local economy by providing fresh food donations. So 90% of the food banks had a surge in demand due to the COVID crisis. And the problem with donation is that for food banks, they can't provide fresh food. For prepaid debit cards, money goes to big supermarket chains, and the paper food vouchers, they're really difficult to manage and they're costly. So the solution would be to give that money to local shops and then enhance local economy. How we do that? We provide a prepayment of fresh food in local shops. Then we redistribute this money in form of vouchers or tokens to people in need in the area. So they can redeem that fresh product just using their mobile phone to pay. Why we use blockchain? Because it's secure, you don't have to have a bank account to pay, you can trace transactions, and it has a really low management cost. And it's as simple as receive and pay. We have started already in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Europe, which is the Polígono Sur in Sevilla. We have 5 local shops in this Cencosur market and 30 families supported. And as you can see, the process is as simple as click to pay, and then the merchants receive 2 seconds later the amount on their mobile phone. It's as simple as click and pay. So this is the amazing team that put everything together, and we will be happy to replicate Wikibank wherever you need it. Thank you.
So this is it, the B4H 2020 Awards. Thank you for sharing this experience with us. Congratulations again to the awardees. You deserve this recognition. Thank you to all nominees. Thank you to our judges. You did a wonderful job. And thank you to the sponsor, the Swan Foundation. And I will see you next year. Bye.
Peace and love. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the conference and see you next year.
See you next year. Bye-bye.
And don't forget to donate to the Blockchain for Humanity 2020 Awards campaign. All the funds goes to the awardees.
Dancing with the music of Blockchain for Humanity. I think the team has done an amazing job year after year at Bit Conf at picking up the best projects with social impact, using these technologies to create positive social impact. So please support them. I think it's an amazing project, amazing team. So a big hug from me to all of the Blockchain for Humanity team. And now we are having an amazing video of one of, I would say, fastest growing companies in the crypto industry in the recent years, that is Binance. So CZ said, the CEO of Binance, will share with us how in this 3D video, these amazing 3D videos that we have been showing day after day, the experience, I mean the process of growing from zero to one of the biggest companies in the crypto space in 3 years. So, please enjoy this video, but stay tuned because afterwards we have a bonus track. We will interview the Bitcoin family. That's an amazing story, so stay tuned after the CC video to know about the Bitcoin family and see this amazing interview. I hope you're enjoying LaBitConf. Stay tuned. Enjoy the next two final chapters of this day, the 4th day at LaBitConf. Thank you, guys and gals.
Hello, my name is CZ. I'm the CEO of Binance. Thank you for inviting me to the Bit conference. And I'm honored to be here today to share the Binance growth story and strategy with you. So first of all, I will start with a little bit of my own personal history, just so that you understand who I am and my background and how that shapes Binance. So I was born in China in a small village until age 12, and I lived in 4 different cities by then. So I was moving into a different city every 3 years. By 12, I moved to Canada. In Canada, I also lived in 4 different cities over 10 years, but I did stay in Vancouver for 6 years and Montreal for most of the 4 years. And I lived a few months in Toronto and Waterloo. So after Canada, I went to work in Tokyo for a project related to the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So my first job is related to trading. And then I worked in New York for Bloomberg for 4 years. In 2005, I went back to Shanghai to work. And I also worked in Hong Kong and Singapore. So given my personal history, you can see that I've lived in many different cities in my life. We strongly believe everyone is equal. And Bitcoin provides this equal opportunity to everyone. So I first learned about Bitcoin in 2013, and I liked it right away. I understood the encryption technologies involved right away because I come from a technical background. I had my first PGP key created in 1998, and I've always worked in financial services, so I kind of understood the financial aspects of it right away. I've never really tied myself to any fiat currency. I've always used multiple currencies in my life before, and I knew how difficult it is to convert different currencies around the world. So in 2013, I quit my job, also sold my house, used that money to buy Bitcoin, and I still have those Bitcoins today. I didn't really spend it. I also started looking for jobs in the crypto industry. Back then, it was called the Bitcoin industry mostly. So I tried a few different positions in a few different companies, but I didn't stay for very long. The industry was still very early. And I started my own company in 2015, together with a group of friends. That company provides cloud-based exchange systems for other exchanges. And in 2017, we saw an opportunity to start a crypto-to-crypto exchange, and we called it Binance. So a crypto-to-crypto exchange, the idea is quite old, actually. So even in 2013, a group of friends and I talked about it. We said it was too early. In 2017, we thought the market was quite mature. The trading volumes on crypto-to-crypto exchanges was quite big. But at the same time, we thought the user experience was not very good. So Binance started with a very simple strategy. We want to put users first. So when Binance started in 2017, most of the crypto exchanges are only in English. They only have a web interface, no mobile apps, and they were always very slow to load. The performance of the exchanges are slow, and the customer support is quite bad. If you submitted a ticket, it could take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, or even sometimes a month to get a response. So when we started Binance, we really focused on the customers. So we added 9 languages to our website so that people can use their local language. Even though 9 languages are still pretty limited, I think today we support about 20 different languages, and we're still adding to that. We also focus on the mobile experience. And above all, we really focused on the customer support experience. Initially, we set a target of a response no longer than 24 hours. And nowadays, we're trying to reduce that time to 2 hours. So with all those changes, we actually got a lot of traction in 2017. We also the first exchange to distribute gas or any kind of additional benefits that the users usually get if they hold their own coins. So in the early days, to be honest, the strategy is really just to survive. We looked at bigger goals. We wanted to increase the freedom of money. So if we look at different times in history, anytime as a civilization, we are able to increase freedom without sacrificing other aspects of our lives, our civilization advanced. So if we look at the freedom from slavery, freedom of press, freedom of data, the internet, so at any time when those freedoms are achieved or increased, people's life improved. And now we have a very unique opportunity to improve the freedom of money. Today, our money is not that free. And we strongly believe that crypto is a good way to increase the freedom of money for people all around the world. So continue with the Binance story. 2018 was a tough year for many crypto businesses, but we focused on just building more features that our users want. We added many fiat gateways. We also added the first credit card, debit card integration for buying crypto. And we invested in the ecosystem very heavily. We started Binance Labs, also Binance Academy, an educational portal, Binance Research, Binance Charity, which is a philanthropy which donates to people in need in different parts of the world. So 2018 was a pretty tough year for most businesses, but we just kept our head down and kept building. So we have blockchain-based fundraising platform launched as well, the Launchpad. And also we've done many early stage investments and also just pure grants for developers. So things started to improve in 2019, and coming to 2020, we expanded our financial product suite even further. In 2020, DeFi is catching on. So we also launched Binance earning products, mining pools, savings, and we also launched both DeFi and CeFi. So throughout our history, we had many challenges as well. 2 months after we started in 2017, China issued a ban on cryptocurrency exchanges in the country. We had to migrate out of the country, which we did, and we become a more international-based exchange. We're not dependent on any country, which also increased our freedom. We had many challenges in our history, but through all this time, we have always maintained to protect users. we believe strongly in building the infrastructure for the crypto economy in the future. So we are one of the first international exchanges to support Spanish language in our products, as well as Portuguese, and we will continue to add more local language support. We also support local currencies in most places in the world now, including pesos and other local currencies. So to conclude, many people ask me what's our strategy or what's our secret of success. Sorry to disappoint, but there's really no secret sauce. My philosophy has always been 2% strategy, 98% execution. We didn't have any fancy ideas or any secret ideas. It was just a matter of strong execution. And here, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the Binance ecosystem team. By ecosystem team includes Binance Angels, our KOLs in the community, independent developers, and anyone who supports us online and offline, which includes all of you today. We don't really call Binance a company, but we just call ourselves a team. And we thank you for your support. Thank you, guys.
Hello again to this family. Are you listening me now? Yes? I am not listening you. Wait, chicos, I can listen there? 1 second. Yes, yes, now we are hearing us. Pleased to meet you. I was saying that I wanted to take a picture with you, yes, and myself doing this interview, just to share with my wife. I want to convince her the way you did, to tell her this is true, yes, that there is a family, a 100% Bitcoin family. Yeah. I know, yeah. One more. 1 second. Whee! Great, thank you. My wife is getting all these pictures now. I guess she's not understanding why, but I will let her understand in a few minutes when I go back home. So, thank you for joining us. I'm really excited about interviewing you. I guess everyone knows about your story. Everyone heard about this Bitcoin family selling everything, jumping into the pool, yes, with or without water, we don't know, but taking this huge step, this huge decision of selling everything. You'll let me know if it's everything or not, and we will discuss if there was a safety net or not in this jumping, yes. But we are really like an inspiration, I guess, for most of the crypto people, most of the Bitcoiners in the space. So first I wanted to know, Didi, from you, how much time before taking this decision, before talking with even your wife, yes, or even before talking later with your kids, I guess, how much time before was you thinking about this crazy, extremely crazy idea of jumping and selling everything?
We didn't think so much about that,
to
be very honest. I started mining in 2013. I started mining Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and I just lost track of it after the crash in 2014. I needed to stop because I was like, okay, I need to get even with all the investments I made. Then things in life happened, so we went traveling the world, and during the traveling the world, we discovered, we are very happy with just a few backpacks, and we don't need all the big houses and the cars. So why don't we just keep living this life? And so we decided on that moment, maybe we just go home, sell everything, the house, everything, and let's see what we do with this bag of money. And then we just, we saw Bitcoin growing again. Some people started calling me. The community is growing. So we just looked at each other and we said, okay, maybe we should just go all into Bitcoin because we don't care about money. We can win, we can lose. It doesn't matter. We can always start over. So we had some rum on the beach, and together we had some pets, and we thought it would be very good for our family to lead by example, to show our kids that life should be about accumulating happiness and not about accumulating wealth. So that is why we did it. So we flew home, and we just did it. We just put the house for sale, and that was it. And then, then you get bumped to the Bitcoin family, and then a whole new adventure starts. So we didn't think a lot about it.
And would you say this is something that first, at that time when you took this decision and you jumped into Bitcoin, what price were we talking about, just to put it into scale? At what price of Bitcoin?
So the first investments in Bitcoins was in the beginning of 2017 when I sold the motorbike and some cars. And the last investment was in, I think, around September, on $6,800 US.
Okay, so
per Bitcoin.
Between 250 and between 2,500 to all the scope upwards. Okay, so would you say? Would you suggest this decision that you took? I mean, after, and this is not only for Didi, yes, eventually for the family. I mean, if you meet someone else who's crazy as Didi, and I don't like to put this all at stake on Didi because perhaps the whole family is crazy as he is. I don't know. Yes, sometimes we mimic our parents. But would you suggest this to another family? To do this kind of jump of faith into this, and into this experience of living the way we are living now?
Of course, if they don't like the life they are living, everybody should take the jump. We didn't love the life that we were living. We were living this normal life, but everybody is living, going to your work, having breakfast, going to your job, coming home, eating, going to your sport, like the hamster wheel. Everybody is running this wheel just to make money, and then they believe in the future, they'll be really happy. And so we found out very early that doesn't go up, that's not the truth. You don't get happy of just accumulating money. You get happy of living life. And so I would advise every family that is now struggling with the fact, what should we do? Should we keep this boring life? Should we keep living the life we are living? We are not happy. Change. It's your life. Change now. And if you want to go all into Bitcoin, it's a beautiful moment. We are at the beginning of the next bull run cycle. So yes, you could do the same like me. Of course, it would have been better with March this year around 3K. But yeah, we are strong believers that Bitcoin goes to 50K or 100K. So, you know, if you calculate very simple,
yeah.
If you believe in Bitcoin, you believe in the future of the 21st century gold, if you believe that Bitcoin can go to 50K or 100K, then the calculation is very simple. You buy Bitcoin now at 16 or 17, 18,000 US dollar. You buy them at 18,000 US dollar. Maybe you can buy 2 of them, you know, whatever. You use one of them to live life the next couple of months in a very cheap country, and the other one you keep till next year. Bitcoin goes to 50K or 100K, you get out with more than you had if you want to change life back again. If you don't,
I remember 2017 when you were saying you took this decision. Yes, I had this Sapo card. Yes, where I put 1 Bitcoin, let's say 1 Bitcoin there, and I was buying an iPhone. Yes, and just some days later I had more money than the one I spent already. So I was spending, but the amount of money in the card, which was stored in Bitcoins, yes, kept going up beyond me spending. So it's like this. If you wait, eventually, if you wait and if you believe in this, and this will change things for humanity, and it will become a relevant currency, it's a matter of waiting, and your value today will be more valuable tomorrow, no? So I have kids of the same age. Sorry, yes, Didi. Okay.
Yeah, no, you know, I agree with you, but, you know, we didn't get into it just for the money, you know. People need to understand that everything we do, you know, the YouTubing that I do every day, the advisor of a lot of companies, the speaking on conferences, I earn a lot of Bitcoins, but we share those Bitcoins with charity, the poor people. I just donated $250 at a family in Colombia. Not at a family, it's 21 kids living under a bridge. Yeah. This guy contacts me and says, you know, Didi, can you give them flip-flops, slippers, you know, and can you give them some food? So we share everything we earn. I think that is what we as a Bitcoin family try to change in this industry. It shouldn't be about accumulating wealth. It should be about creating peer-to-peer cash that is accessible for everybody out there without regulation of any centralized organization or centralized government or centralized tax company. We need to take the power back to the people when it comes to money, and we need to be in control. We run this world. We are the ones that, you know, should be running the world. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the revolution of Bitcoin. And that is what I teach my kids. It's about sharing is caring. If you make profit, you share. And that's how you help all people all over the world.
And here is the thing. You're talking about teaching your kids. I have kids of the same age. I just realized, yes, when I ask you their ages, yes. And you say, yeah. I mean, for me, it's usually, even though I'm very active in the space, it's fairly hard to explain them, to get them really interested in what I'm doing, why Bitcoin changes. They are not used to money either. No, it's like not commonly using money, but I guess that you are like immersed in this reality. So I would like to know, how do you feel? I mean, or the kids, do they really understand? Do they believe that we are changing something? No, she says she's not, and I agree. I mean, my kids don't. So I would like to know if they just believe in you as my kids do, or they understand what's happening.
You know what it is? It is difficult, but you can ask the kids ourselves. We leave them children. You know, we are just a normal family. We just have a different way of living. We live decentralized, we don't own houses, we just travel, so we are nomads. But that doesn't mean that we, from the beginning that we do that, start to talk with our kids about our jobs and about our money. You know, most parents don't speak with their children about their jobs, what they do, how they earn, what money is, because kids should not be focusing on money. Kids should be focusing on playing football on the beach. Or I have daughters, you know, gymnastics on the beach. But because my kids are involved in this whole adventure, like Julie, she does a lot of filming with me. So we do daily YouTube videos. Julie knows about Bitcoin. In yesterday's video, she's telling me like, you know, what was it yesterday in the video again?
Can we share the handle, the YouTube channel? But later, if you want to share the channel that you're...
Sorry?
Can you share which is the channel, the YouTube?
Oh, yeah. The channel is called YouTube and then / the Bitcoin family. So we have more than, I think, a few hundred videos on there. And we share our daily life, but I also make daily videos about the price, about blockchain, about the news. And I involve my kids in it. So Juna, does the editing of the videos. Jolie walks with me on the beach, and she yesterday was like, okay, Dad, I earned some cash for babysitting over here. Can we buy Bitcoins now? So, you know, if I ask Jolie, why will Bitcoin go up in the long term, she will understand. She can give you the answer. You know, I don't even have to ask her. You can ask her. You're the interviewer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my concern is I never been a nomad family. Yes, I think this is something that it's interesting also for some people, not to understand how being nomad it's possible to take a regular life living in a nomad way. Yes, I have friends that are doing this anyway. But for my concern is for the kids. Do you feel nice? Do you enjoy? I mean, I guess, but do you enjoy this way also of going from one place to the other? Would you somehow try to say your dad, no, I want to stay here, I want to do my friends here? I mean, the ages and yes. So how do you feel about this nomad life? And your dad won't say anything. He will.
No, I can. You just. It's like our life now for 4 years, so we kind of get used to it, traveling a lot, and now we've slowed it down. So we're like 3 months here, and before this we were like 5 months in Thailand. So it was really like kind of like a home feeling again, and not like traveling every week to something else. And the traveling a lot was nice, but I'm 15. I want to like stay somewhere, have my own room, make friends, and that was hard at that time, but now it's fine. I like this lifestyle, so yeah.
Yeah. Well,
someone else? You know what? It is difficult because everybody just sees these Instagram pictures and everything and thinks everything is perfect. We are just a family. We just live life. We have ups and downs. Our kids sometimes are happy, sometimes they're not happy. Now we stay in a very cheap but very beautiful house in Portugal with a jacuzzi. They are happy. You know, it's kids. And sometimes it's just, you know, when there are not a lot of other kids of their age, you know, they get bored. And that's what we try to network and connect. And now Julie has met a French girl here in Lagos, so she's now and then speaking with her. But you also need to put it in perspective with the life that we all are living. If I would be living in Holland, in my home base, it is the same. Kids are spending more time online in virtual worlds than in physical worlds. Kids give more about their online appearance than of their offline appearance. We are slowly evolving to this virtual reality game as humanity. Who are we to stop it, you know? They have Snapchat, they have Instagram, they have all the virtual Zoom calls with their friends. It's not that it's like completely different. And we always visit the Netherlands for a month, a year or something, and then they connect again with their friends. And you just build communities. And everywhere where you go with your children, you meet those people again, and you build a new community. And, you know, you spread the gospel of Bitcoin and all the stuff we love.
And you move together in this car, in this beautiful Bitcoin family car, or you also travel without the car and you take a plane and go back home sometimes? I mean, how do you manage all this traveling? It's all in the road, or how do you do it?
No, it depends. You know, we have been traveling 4 years now, and we did a year with a huge camper van. We did backpacking, just with backpacks. We did with a Volkswagen minivan, and now we are driving a Land Rover. We just go with the flow. We never plan. Everything happens, and who are we, you know, to plan anything? You know, everything in life happens for a reason, and you just go with the flow. If you swim against the stream, you will have a difficult life. You need to swim with the stream, you know, with the flow. And this was not planned. We flew back from Thailand to the Netherlands. People were so living in fear in the Netherlands because of some kind of a flu that we said, okay, we are going to leave the Netherlands. Then we flew to Spain. We came to Spain. The people were even more of the flu, so we didn't like to run around with this mask. So we left Spain and let's buy this car and drive in the car to Portugal and do a cool Bitcoin tour in Portugal and meet all the Bitcoin companies and people over there. And that's how our life evolves every time again. We just, where the wind takes us, we will go, you know. There is one thing that we still didn't visit it, and we want to visit very badly, and it's South America and North America, you know. We want to go to South America. I want to drive the Che Guevara route with my car, you know.
So you're coming down to Argentina also?
Yeah, of course. You know, we once met a beautiful Argentinian family. They even traveled more than us. They are called Family Zap. Family Zap, they traveled the world 18 years in an old English cab with 4 children. So they invited us, please come to Argentina, you can stay at our place, and you know, we will show you in Argentina. So yeah, man, Argentina is on the bucket list, you know. Diego Armando Maradona was one of my heroes, and you know, it's, yeah.
But we have the same ages. We have the same ages, so you're actively invited to come to my place too. Yes, if you come down to Argentina and enjoy my hospitality if you can. So now I guess you realize you're sort of inspirational, no? I mean, or the whole family, I guess, or perhaps not. I mean, I'm guessing that you inspire people. Yes, you inspire some Bitcoiners, and I guess you received stories, you heard stories about people being inspired by you. Yes, big people, perhaps even some kids. I have a kid of my kids' school. Yes, and he's very into the Bitcoin space. If Mateo is watching, hi Mateo, he's very into the Bitcoin. He's so excited. So I guess that eventually Mateo, who's her age, yes, I mean, he could feel inspired by your stories and eventually even wrote them, yes, about how they feel inspired. So I would like to know any of these inspirational stories that you've heard based on what you are doing, no? Because sometimes it happens that we just become like references to others. No? So what stories did you heard about around you and what you changed to others?
So I have so many stories. The first 2 years we didn't understand it. You know, we didn't understand why people were so excited by the thing we did, because we were just, for us it was just a natural step in our lives, because we wanted to change life. But you know, we got more mails and more fan mail even. I get daily messages from kids, from adults all over the world. They say like, wow, it's so beautiful, so freedom. I get messages from kids that message me, you know, how beautiful must it be for the kid to be 24/7 with parents, you know? I don't see my father and mother that often. They go to work every day, 2 jobs, they have 3 shifts, you know? There are even 2 or 3 families, they call themselves the Bitcoin family 2, 3, and 4. Okay. They did the same, you know? They sold their house, they went all into Bitcoin, and they started to travel. And we meet all those people, but for us, it still feels strange, you know. You remember in Thailand, we were in Thailand in a pizzeria, and we were just eating dinner, and then this Russian guy comes to me, and he's like, "Oh, are you the Bitcoin man?" And we were just like, "Yeah, but why? Can I make a selfie?" And we were like, "A selfie with us? For what?" You know? And the kids started to laugh at me, and everybody was like, "He wants to make a selfie." But then we made the selfie, and yeah, some people just, they feel energized or inspired. You know, I'm a very energetic person, and I just try to be very positive, and people love this, and people want to feel positive, especially in these times. Mm-hmm. We don't feel more or better or else. You know, we are just a simple family. You see with Jessa, who doesn't want to be on camera now anymore. We are just a little family. But there are a lot of stories. There was one Italian guy that wanted to buy Bitcoins, and he called me, and he was like, "Can I call you?" "Yeah, call me." And Bitcoin at that point was $3,000, and he was like, "I only have $3,000. I only have $3,000. I need to sell my motorbike, and then I have $3,000. And I told him, you know, I cannot give you advice, but it is a good time for me. He sold the motorbike, he bought the Bitcoin, and he sold the Bitcoin at $14,000. He called me, and he was like, "Wow, Didi, you changed my life." And you know, there's so many stories, but I still feel awkward by people, that see us different. They're just a normal family. You're just as playing Slimies.
I saw you had a guitar behind. Actually, I saw you playing the guitar just a few seconds ago when you thought I was not watching. Yes, you pick the guitar and start playing. Who plays the guitar there? Only you or someone else?
No, I play a little bit guitar and a little bit. And Julie and Juna, they play very good piano. They got piano lessons.
Nice.
Jessica can also play piano, but she's better with online gaming. Yeah. So I just play a little bit. But the really cool thing is happening at the moment. You have the premiere. I can give you one premiere.
Yes.
We
So
were
wait.
contacted by
a premiere from.
We have a premiere.
No, come on.
There was a Mexican girl. She contacted me. She's a musician. Her name is Lore. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Lore.
Okay.
And she asked me, did you ever write a text for a song? I said, yes. When I was in the bus, I started to type a text in my telephone. And she said, can I have your text and can I write a song on it?
No,
I said, of course, if you can do this. I can't. I'm good enough. And now she made a song, and she showed me the song yesterday for the first time, and I got really goosebumps. It's a very beautiful guitar played song, a little bit hippie, gypsy style. And I think it will go live next week or something. So these kinds of offers we've received from people that like what we did. So there will be a Bitcoin family song
nice.
with a very famous band that I always say in my videos. It's all in the answer. So
nice.
That's nice.
Do you happen to have a VR helmet? No. You don't have a VR helmet with you, like Oculus, that kind of stuff? No. Those.
No, I didn't have it.
No, okay. Because on Saturday we are doing a beer movie, a beer party. Yes, you can go from the PC anyway, and we have these hot spots where you get near and you can dance, and you listen to the music. You move out, the music fades, like this. You have hot spots of music in different places. It's very nice, very nice. And eventually, I'll contact you later if she wants to show this music in this beer world that we are building up. It would be nice to have you somehow, the family there, like in this, because of the song. No, later I'll ask you the contact, just in case she wants to showcase it.
It's really cool. I didn't hear a huge part because the sound was gone. But I will check if I can find a Oculus Rift somewhere here in Portugal. Maybe it's a cool thing for the kids as well to have, and we can check it out how it works. You don't like an Oculus Rift?
So,
like the VR glasses? Yeah.
We can check someone living near and send you one if you want. But you can do it from the PC. Then I'll send you how to connect to the VR world. It's a very nice experience, and they can even win. If you know about Bitcoin, you will be able to win $1,000 too, playing a scavenger hunt. But this is not the part of the story. How is it studying? I mean, is this an issue? I guess no for you. I guess that you are still doing eventually homeschooling, yes, or you are against centralized certificates of centralized university. I mean, how is it studying for the kids? No, how do you think? What do you think about this? Formal education, if it's necessary.
Yeah, so we homeschool the kids, but we are against centralized school systems. We want to prepare our kids for the future. We don't want to prepare the kids for the past. And I think a lot of schools, traditional schools, prepare kids for the past. They don't have a vision about the future. Because we are involved in blockchain and crypto, we can see that there is a decentralized world starting, where you need to have other skills than a traditional school teaches you. So we homeschool the kids. They do also an online school, which is called Galileo. There's children from all over the world that go into the school every morning.
Nice.
That's just as an extra, the social contacts with kids all over the world. Yeah. Nice. You can ask Jodie, she does in school. Do you like the school?
Do you enjoy it this way?
Yeah, I do. My class is really fun. I like the kids in the class, and I like the teachers. So it's really open. You can make your own schedule, do your own things.
Okay.
Teachers just to help you, and just
nice. Nice.
Do you like this? That's okay.
Well, and what does your wife think about all this? I mean, she jumped with you. Perhaps she jumped herself, but I mean, she jumped with you, and she's in love. So I go wherever he goes. But what's really behind? I mean, are you really motivated about this new way? I mean, it's like you expected this when you said yes, I do. if you got married some time ago, you said yes, I do. Did you? You didn't think about this, but this is something that you really enjoy right now, like this new decision that you took as a family.
But my wife is not here. This is my daughter.
Oh shit!
No.
No, I think we jumped together. It was a decision of us both because I really wanted to change her life. I was unhappy with the lifestyle we were living. It was all about materialism, about how you look, about what you want, about what you have, and I wanted to change that. And Bitcoin was the way for us to make that change. So yeah, I'm happy we did it, and I'm still going all for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are still all in, you know. Bitcoin just needs to run. That's why I have the T-shirt today, Run BTC.
Yes. Though I usually say that we don't run. We just, Bitcoin is like the slow turtle that moves towards the final goal, yes? And everyone behind is like jumping, like these rabbits, more interesting than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin slowly moves forward and just will change the world slowly but steadily towards becoming the biggest currency in the world, no? So, bueno, I really thank you for joining. Yes, is there anything you would like to say, like some final thoughts for anyone?
No, I just want to add.
Yes.
No, I just want to add to your story. It is completely true. You know, the world is already changing. That is what we experienced the last 4 years. You know, the first 2 years was difficult traveling solely with Bitcoins. We don't own any bank accounts, nothing, only Bitcoins. And now the last 2 years, we see that all of the world towns, you know, make it possible for us to completely live in Bitcoin. You know, there are many towns in the world where I just can spend Bitcoin directly without even using debit cards. So I think we are really changing the world, and I think I'm very happy. And if I need to say something to end it up, you know, there's only one tip I can give everybody. You know, never live in fear. Try and you know, just live life. Don't fear life, because I think if you make decisions out of fear, you always make the wrong decision. If you make decisions out of passion and out of the thing you want to achieve, then that's the right decision. So never fear life, never fear a decision, and just go for it, you know. And if you want to go all in, go all in. And if you don't want to go all in, then keep living the life you live.
So nice final reflection. Thank you, Bitcoin family. If anyone wants to follow you, so it's mainly the YouTube channel, YouTube/the Bitcoin family, or which other ways can people follow your trips and your blog, and can you share with us?
So we have a YouTube channel that's called the Bitcoin family. Our Instagram is also the Bitcoin family. My ticker, my Twitter handle is Didi Tayutu, is my full name. But we also have the Bitcoin family on Twitter. We have a website that's called thebitcoinfamily.com. Whenever you Google the Bitcoin family, I think you will find us. And we also have a TikTok, the Bitcoin family. Yeah.
Okay, TikTok, the Bitcoin family.
You will also find us on all decentralized.
I'll make my kids follow the TikTok Bitcoin family right after this time. Yeah. Bueno, thanks a lot. Thanks for the whole family to joining. Yes, for me it was very special to host you today here. Bit Conf is a very special conference. It's not a regular conference. It's not about doing business. It's not about. It's about sharing about humanity, about people. Yes, and really hosting you here the same day we hosted Vitalik and Andreas. Okay, it's like this is the different things that we add into this experience of Bit Conf. I hope whenever you come down to Americas, you stay in December in America, in the same place we are doing the conference such year, because we do it in a different country every year. And this year we've done it in the moon, or on the moon. I guess you share the videos I shared with you with your family. If not, share with them the Bit Conf trailer that took us to the moon, but the whole conference is done in the moon this year. So next year we will be in Guatemala. If you happen to be there in December, welcome. If you're not and you happen to be in Argentina, just ring me. You have my cell phone now, and come